State Bank of Pakistan Amendment Bill. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the situation as far as the opposition is concerned. Of course, there's a lot that was said initially about the fact that it seems to be a token opposition that surfaces now and then, but when it comes to crucial pieces of legislation, the government manages to get them through, whether by the absence of certain members of the opposition or their cooperation, whatever one may want to call them. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the ramifications of the passing of the Senate, the State Bank of Pakistan bill, now that it has passed through the Senate. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Siddiqul Farooq from the PMLN. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you,
Senator Humayun Muhammad from the PTI. Thank you for being with us. We also have with us Taj Haider from the PPP. Thank you for joining us. Siddiqul Farooq sahab, one of the big criticisms as far as the opposition is concerned is that as far as the opposition is concerned, you come out and you say a lot of things, you criticize the government, you say that this will be surrendering the autonomy of, as far as this bill is concerned, that it would surrender the autonomy of the country, it would mean, surrendering Pakistan. So many things were said on the House, in the Parliament, in both houses of Parliament, from your party also. But when it comes down to it, the government manages to get it passed with one vote, one vote with majority. What do you have to say to that? Why does the opposition fail so miserably when it comes to this kind of legislation, crucial pieces of legislation by the government, managing to get them through?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Marukh. Of course, the opposition should have shown seriousness and a sense of responsibility,
right,
matching to the seriousness of this bill. Because now after adoption of this bill, Pakistan, in my opinion, has become the colony of financial empire of IMF.
But two of your senators were missing.
Of course, they were missing. And the opposition parties are, Mushahid Hussain was down with the corona, while the leader of the opposition and some other senators are missing.
Yes.
So their parties should, I think, hold them responsible. And another important thing is that the government was trying to find an opportunity where, against the spirit of constitution and parliamentary democracy, the government may get through with this bill.
But the government, to be fair, the government, whatever opportunity that they have on their hands, they will try to find, because, of the numbers that there are as far as the Senate is concerned.
As far as the numbers are concerned, the chairman came to their rescue, of course. And here, the responsibility, the opposition is responsible for this. So therefore, what I want to say to all opposition parties is that they should review their policy about parliament.
So, Siddiqul Farooq sahab, generally speaking, yes, I don't think that anybody would disagree with you about the fact that, generally speaking, the politics of the opposition, by the opposition, really needs to be looked into. They need to sit down and talk about a strategy. But the point is, what is your strategy? Are you really opposing the government? Are you just opposing the government for the sake of opposing? Or is there real opposition? We've seen one step forward, two step backward approach as far as the opposition is concerned. I want to come to that.
Just 1 minute. When there is national interest, whether it is COVID-19, Indian aggression, etc., the opposition supports the government. And when the opposition feels that is against the interests of state of Pakistan or people of Pakistan, it opposes. But here, despite their policy of opposing this bill, they have failed. And they should be held responsible. That's why I say that they should pay more attention to playing a more positive role and do not allow government to dodge them or to get through such bills.
Okay, I want to come to that. I want to talk about the fact whether it's the government dodging them or the other way forward, the other way round. I want to go to Senator Humayun. Senator Humayun, why do you think that, what happened as far as, what's your opinion, what is the government's opinion about what actually happens when, these kind of legislations surface? Because a lot is said, there's a lot of, talk, but that's just talk. The opposition doesn't manage to walk the talk. They just manage to, the government manages to pass the legislation. This has happened before also. What is it then? What is your opinion about it?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, thank you very much for taking me on this important subject. And I was there throughout. Everybody knew at least a couple of days before. Right. Even the media was pointing it out in the newspapers, in their programs, that on Friday morning, the bill for the Senate would be coming. So everybody knew it. And trust me, the number of opposition as well as the government benches, right? The number of people who were sitting there, they were just sitting because they knew this bill is coming.
Right.
Right? Now, it was nothing by the opposition but an eyewash. Okay. They say one thing, they do another thing. They exactly knew that this legislation is good for the country. They know it. In their heart, they know it. But they can't say it.
Or that it has to be done.
No. It's good for the country.
Okay.
Right. I'll give you an analogy.
Ji.
Right. I'll have my accountant sitting there. I've got a business to run. And every now and then I'll ask him to give me certain amount of money because I want to buy this thing or I want to buy that thing, which is my extravagancy, but it's not what I should be doing, right? And he will keep on giving me because he is answerable to me, right? So in the end, what happens? There is no money in the account when I need the most. So this bill, like any other good countries, they have got their state bank independent of the political government. Okay. Now these institutions should be independent of the political government because political government by default is biased towards their political goals. Unfortunately, more so in Pakistan because so far after Quaid-e-Azam and Imran Khan, we have not produced leaders. We have produced politicians who only think of what's going to happen from 2 years or 5 years down the line. So that means they are only focused towards winning the elections. They do not focus towards putting the things in the right perspective.
Okay, right.
So that is what it was. And everybody knew it. And you see, the opposition leader was not there. And it was just a lame excuse that I did not know. Everybody knew it. Their own people, they knew it. It was just a drama, nothing else. They tell people one thing and they do another thing.
Right, okay.
And just one more thing. Like my honorable member said, the chairman of Senate has got a casting vote when it comes to the tie. And he has to take one side or the other side. So it's not being biased. He knew it that this is the right thing and he would take that decision. And what happens after that? You see, 43 and 43, so the chairman said. So they started to hoot and everything. So we said, okay, fine, let's do it. We knew. What happened? Their one member steps out because they knew that this is going to happen. So why would they stop a bill which was such of a paramount importance to this country? You see, our hats off to Dr. Zarqa. With oxygen at 5 liters per minute, she was sitting there. She could hardly sit. We had to put her feet up on the sofa so that she could be a little bit more reclined. She believed in something. We all believed in something.
Okay, let me come
but we, whatever we say, we do it. We stand our grounds. Okay, we don't, go away from that thing.
Ji, let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Taj Haider Saab. Ji, overall, as far as the PPP is concerned, we've been talking, I hope that you've been hearing, we've been talking about the opposition and the role and whether it's really a token protest that actually invariably surfaces now and then. What's your opinion on this, Mr. Haider? Overall, what Senator Humayun is saying. He's saying that it is because of the belief that the government has that this is for the betterment of the country, which in actuality the opposition shares, but they say one thing and they do another.
The government has been saying that there are compulsions, and because of which we have to pass these bills, and because of which we have to go to these guys and the IMF. Now it's very fortunate that we have somebody nominated by American imperialism to head the State Bank of Pakistan. Rather, the State Bank of Pakistan is now a branch of the International Monetary Fund in Karachi. So it's very fortunate that somebody is there to oversee and to keep a finger on the throats of the elected representatives of people of Pakistan. But the fact remains that the government all along had been saying that we are doing it under compulsion. And that is one big question on our freedom to decide for ourselves. What is most important for a
Do you
nation
agree
and its
even,
freedom? Please,
Mr.
please,
Haider,
please.
even if you don't, I
Okay,
mean,
go
okay,
ahead,
so
go ahead.
to the
Go ahead,
extent
go ahead.
that this
Go
is
ahead,
this
go
is something that you are saying that the government has been saying that they have to do it. Do you agree that does the opposition also agree that they have to do it? So they tacitly they don't want to say it, but there is tacit agreement that it should pass through.
No, certainly not. Mr. Gilani could not come. He had his own reasons, but he has taken a constant stand that this bill is poison for Pakistan. And he has always been opposing IMF control on our economy. And I'm reminded of the first lines of Mr. Jinnah in his speech of 1st July 1948 when he inaugurated the State Bank of Pakistan in Karachi. And I stood on those stairs on which Qaeda was standing while giving this speech. And he said that the establishment of a State Bank of Pakistan is a symbol of sovereignty of our state in all monetary spheres. Now, this is what he had said. Now, that sovereignty has been surrendered, and some people are so happy about it. Now, I mean, so much of blame is being put on the opposition, but how did the voting place? Uh, well, leave aside what time the agenda was conveyed to us. The time when the finance minister arrived in the Senate to present the bill, and when the turn of presenting that bill had come, there were hardly 20 senators from the Treasury benches. The session was adjourned twice, and the slave drivers went out to bring all those who had stayed home because probably they had many reservations on this. Whoever was sitting in the opposition was sitting there on his free will and voted against it. But there were very few in the Treasury benches who were voting in their free will. Twice the session was adjourned, then a lot of time was wasted. Then around 12 o'clock, in a whirlwind fashion, when there were about 20 amendments to the bill, that was bypassed. And once again, it was bulldozed through. The chairman gave his casting vote in favor of American imperialism, and the bill was passed. But let me tell you that the days of imperialist control on Pakistan are deceiving the people, being trying to be clever, uh, no more days. The time for being clever. The sad reality is that the economy has collapsed, and this IMF program will lead to another IMF program because our trade deficits instead of down are going. Our production has gone down. The economic realities are hard. The people are not with this government, as you have seen in so many elections. also that this government was thrust on the people of Pakistan by a historic rigging of elections. So, I mean, they are not standing on their feet.
Right. Okay.
Things happen
Let.
whenever there is a movement. There are ups and downs. Okay, I myself was disappointed at the time of vote, but I have seen worse times, and I have all the hope that American imperialism shall be defeated in this region, and their economic system is already collapsing.
Okay, let me come back to you. I'll come back to you. Ji, Sadiqul Farooq Saab, you heard what Taj
I have
was
heard
saying.
he has given a detailed account of the house. And I will respond to my brother
Ji.
Humayun. He said PTI, what PTI says, it does. Of course. If it is true, then why they have brought the country to this stage where we have become subservient to IMF. And now he is referring to financial discipline and independence of State Bank of Pakistan. So can't we evolve our own discipline, PTI, with the cooperation of opposition? Cannot evolve its own discipline, and it is there to receive dictates from IMF, to do this and don't do that. So it means that they don't have any policy about the
Sadiqul Farooq
independence.
Saab, when the PMLN was in power, was the IMF not dictating anything then?
We didn't accept each and every dictate.
Okay.
Of course, a situation came where we had to knock at the door of IMF. But the situation was not like this. We didn't make State Bank subservient to.
But primarily
IMF.
you agree that there was
At
no
time-
alternative but to go to the IMF.
But because Constitution is not working in Pakistan continuously. If the Constitution is allowed to work in letter and spirit, such situations can be avoided.
Okay.
So-
This includes your government also.
Everyone, everyone, because when the Constitution is not allowed, when the supremacy of the Parliament is not accepted, there are intervals and long intervals of 10 to 12 years
Okay.
of dictatorship. So it spoils everything. So many things have been spoiled. It was Pakistan was progressing gradually, and suddenly dharna and this and that, and then the disqualification, etc.
But he's talking about.
and it damaged our economy.
Right, but he's talking about Senator Zarqa, and he's talking about, and then Taj Saab also mentioned the fact that, you know, there was an adjournment, whether once or twice. I think on record there's a record of the House having been adjourned once. But regardless of that, all those measures were taken, and there were people who were sent to get the other senators who were not there. All of those things, according to Taj Saab, he's talking about that. Those efforts could have been made by the opposition also.
Of course, opposition should have.
But why? What's
More
behind
vigilant.
it? Then what is behind this? Do you agree with
It's
it?
a
Do you think
mystery.
that it's okay?
It is a mystery.
It happens every time. The mystery happens every time there's a
And the
crucial
mystery
piece of
should be
legislation.
resolved by opposition itself. And if this mystery is in the interest of state, let me say, so why should not we strike an open deal with the government? But if one disappearing of 2, 4, 6 senators, whether it was the election to the office of the chairman of Senate, other elections.
But
and
according to Senator Humayun, he's saying that the mystery was that the opposition agrees that this is a piece of legislation that has
no, we
to happen.
do not agree.
Okay.
But the mystery is something different.
Okay.
It is not a mystery.
Okay.
So you know, and I think everyone knows that there is always a hidden hand which plays its role. And we should be independent of all these hidden hands. For that, if sacrifice is need, I think we should.
But what
go
about
for
your narrative as a party? You see that, you know, your leadership, whether it's Maryam Nawaz or whether it's Nawaz Sharif Saab, there is a certain, you know, fire to your arguments that comes out, and then invariably there is silence. why are there such, why are there such different paces in the criticism that comes out against the
So
government?
you
Why
want
are there
us to add oil every time
No,
to
I,
that
do, I
fire?
no. I think it's very important for there to be a consistent opposition that not only opposes for the sake of opposition, but offers consistently alternatives to the government.
I think there are mysteries which don't allow opposition or treasury
You're
benches.
saying that this is also another mystery.
It's mystery.
But you
mystery
criticize the
confounded.
establishment.
Mystery
You have
confounded.
criticized the establishment very vociferously on occasion.
Yes.
And then on occasion you have been quiet and you've taken it, so to speak, lying down. So how would you explain this phenomena? Again, by a mystery.
I think we are not free to exercise our power in the parliament and outside freely, and for that
You're not free to oppose, you're saying.
no, we oppose, we do oppose, but sometimes we have to consider certain other elements.
No,
or
but
certain other
Sadiqul Farooq
factors.
Sahab, let's talk about the let's start from the Gujranwala Jalsa, the historic Gujranwala Jalsa that happened, in which Maryam Nawaz spoke, and apparently there, according to the PMLN, there was a lot of popularity that she had. She had people sort of took up to the narrative, vote ko izzat do, all of those things. But do you think the people also now feel that there is no consistency to that narrative, because now you're talking about a long march again? Is it going to go forward? Is it going to is there going to be consistent opposition again, or are there again going to be those moments of inactivity?
No, I think as far as the 23rd of March, the date for long march is concerned, that has been finalized after so many meetings, except if some main change is made or appears before that.
Okay.
Otherwise, long march will be there.
Main change, do you expect a main change?
There are rumors and there are solid ground for that.
Okay. Ji, Senator Humayun.
Okay, two comments. My worthy colleague Taj Haider Sahab has rightly quoted Qaid-e-Azam about the State Bank of Pakistan as an integral part, an important part for the state of Pakistan. He forgot to differentiate between, Qaid-e-Azam Mohammad Ali Jinnah, right? Yeah, sovereignty. Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Ji.
Fair enough. Taj Haider Sahab. Fair enough.
Ji.
But he forgot to differentiate between two things. One is the state and the other is the government.
Okay.
The government is political. The state is a state. It is an institution by itself. Now, when you make these institutions independent of the political interference, that is what really is for the sovereignty of the state.
Okay.
Right? So, yes, he was absolutely right. An independent and strong state bank is for the sovereignty of the state, not for the sovereignty of the political government, which can come and go. So, that's my answer to what he misunderstood, to what Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah actually said.
Okay.
My interpretation would be that he said the word state, not the government. They are two different things, entirely two different things. Now, there was only one adjournment for 20 minutes, right? Our minister was a bit late, and just before those 20 minutes and just after those 20 minutes, the whole of the opposition, including our worthy Shari Rahman and all others, they were actually chanting the slogans of "we won" and this and that and everything, right? When the minister, finance minister came, when he stood up, we all voted, right? Now, I'm sure he is much more senior, and I actually learn a lot from Taj Saab. When the two sides, the treasury and the opposition, when there is a tie, the casting vote goes to the chairman, and he has to take one side. This is the procedure. So when it went to that part, he took the side of the treasury benches. He probably believed in it,
Okay.
right? I can't read his mind, but he believed in it.
The presumption you're saying is
Right,
that-
my presumption. He believed in it. So he voted, which is absolutely the right way of doing it. So why would he be biased? He is not biased. He just voted for the people he believed in. Right? Now, number two, fair enough. We were gracious. He was gracious enough. The chairman of the Senate was gracious enough to give them a second chance.
Okay.
And what happens? 42. Somebody escapes from the opposition. That basically means they do not believe for what they stand for. So there are serious flaws. Come back last year, December, they wanted to have क्या आर या पार in Lahore Jalsa. What happened? Na aar hua na par hua.
But you were not
Nothing.
present there.
Nothing
I was very much
happened.
present there.
Nothing happened.
No, but but
Nothing
is it-
happened. Just allow me, please. ठीक है? Now, when we talk about vote ko izzat do, what happened in the parliament? We voted. Vote ko izzat do na. Why do you start saying that he was biased and that was why? We were in majority. Before the vote casted, they were asking, they were saying the government will run away. पिछली पतली गली से भाग जाएंगे. We have bulldozers. We vote. We come through the front. We demolish all the walls, and that is exactly what we did because we believed in it. They don't believe in what they say, and they don't say what they believe in.
Okay. ठीक.
That's the problem.
Right. Okay.
And
जी,
one more,
that's
just
right.
one more question.
जी.
Quick comment on what was said about the financial aspect of it. The biggest problem of Pakistan as of today is the circular debt. The biggest problem, right? Why that circular debt is there? Because of the power sort of deals that we have done. And who has done that thing? The PPP and the PMLN. So why should I not take their name every time when financially we are in the trouble?
Okay.
It is because of that circular debt. So that is our basic problem as of today and for the past 2 decades.
Okay. Ji, Taj Sahab, I can see you want to say something.
I don't really know if Senator Humayun was there in the Senate at the start of the proceedings, but the number of this item on the agenda was 3. When the bill had to be presented and a permission had to be sought from the House for presenting it. So that was vote number 1. The item number 4 was that if the permission was granted, the vote was to be on the bill. Mr. Shaukat Tareen arrived on time to present item number 3 before the House. At that time, there were hardly 20 senators on the treasury benches. And he sat for some time and then he went away. And after he went away, then the chairman tried to postpone the item for some time. But then, since there was a lot of protest and the senators were asking for a vote, at that time when the item was due, then he adjourned it for half an hour. He returned after 45 minutes and then he started delaying the proceedings of the House. In the meantime, the slave drivers, they went around and they brought all the senators in. So senators on the treasury benches, as many as 20 senators on the treasury benches didn't come to the House on their free will. 43 senators of the opposition came to their house, came to the House on their free will and voted independently. So qualitatively speaking, a free vote is a vote. Senator Humayun has also raised the question of state. Article 7 of the Constitution defines the state. There are elected bodies and there are non-elected parts of the state. Elected parts of the state are responsible to the people of Pakistan, who are the real authority. Unelected or so-called institutions are not responsible to the people of Pakistan. Unfortunately, in the history of Pakistan, it's the unelected part of the state which has been dominating the policies, which has been dominating the decisions, and which has been following the policies of Western imperialism in Pakistan. Now, that is, and it was in this very speech of 1st July 1948 when Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah stated that Western capitalism has failed. Western capitalism is not suitable for our people. We will have to devise a system which guarantees the equality of man, and we shall have to bring up the poor classes and bring up their standard of living. And he talked of equality. Unfortunately, the policies that have been followed by the unelected part of the state have made the poor poorer and the rich richer. And that's what IMF does, makes rich richer. And there's not a single country which has come out of trouble because of IMF support. The conditions have gone down. And with the trade gap going up so drastically, I can very well see that another IMF program shall come and of a size of 10 to 12 billion dollars, and Pakistan shall go down further unless there is a socialist mode of
But
production.
Taj Sahab, even
One,
your government, the PPP government, the PMLN government, we've gone to the IMF successively.
well, let me explain that. There is a lot of confusion on this. There are four types of IMF loans that Pakistan has taken. Well, there is a standby arrangement which is only for 2 years. So that's the nature is very temporary. You take the loan and no conditions are attached with that. Then there is the EFF, extended fund facility. Conditions are attached. The present loan is an EFF loan. There is ECF, uh, extended credit facility. Conditions are attached, but there are very limited conditions.
Okay.
Then there is ESAF, extended structural adjustment facility, which completely changes the structure of the economy. Now, Pakistan People's Party has taken SBA loans. Yes, they also took ECF loans, but they hardly utilized 50% of those loans. And then when IMF started pushing on putting conditions, they said no, thank you. The last minister, Mr. Salim Mandviwala, there was a lot of pressure from the officials of the finance ministry to accept continuation of IMF program. He completely refused because out of the 7.2 billion facility, Pakistan had stopped at 4.9 billion and said, no, thank you, we don't want more, and we are going to return this. Because our exports had jumped, we didn't need that money. So, People's Party, yes, for very small periods, it has been taking loans, like it takes loans from other banks, but has never accepted conditionalities imposed by IMF.
Okay, let me come back to you, Taj Sahab. Ji, Sadiqul Farooq Sahab, we've been talking about, even Taj Sahab is saying, and you also mentioned the fact that there should be autonomy, there should be consistency as far as the policies are concerned. Overall, as far as as far as government is concerned, as far as the parliamentary procedure is concerned, you are talking about the fact that these mysteries should be solved. Is it true that as far as the opposition is concerned, you're also waiting for some sort of a signal or some sort of for the lack of a better word, sign that then would allow you to perhaps agitate more vociferously, strongly outside, inside Parliament, and would then give you room for being a more aggressive opposition?
What room is available there and what space is available for us, we move there in that space and in that room freely.
Okay.
And when there are obstacles, of course, then we have to devise a policy.
Okay.
And for that, I think sometimes we may seek support from here and there, or we are forced to take support from here and there. But whatever, you cannot level any charge or accusation against PMLN. And I think even PPP, that it has, both these parties have played against the interest of Pakistan. Taj Haidar
Which is
Sahib,
an
he is a
allegation you're
senior-
making against PTI now.
senior colleague, he has explained like a teacher to you what is the policy of IMF and what different kinds of loans it offers.
Okay.
So here the loan which is, I think, riddled with different conditionalities has been accepted by PTI because they have almost ruined the economy.
But PTI says that this is what they were, what the situation was as far as.
So they created this situation. They are responsible. But I cannot disagree with the allegations leveled against the opposition that opposition has not played the game responsibly.
You
So
agree that they haven't?
Yes, opposition should have been more vigilant because it was something very serious. The sovereignty of Pakistan was going to be compromised, at least financial sovereignty. So here we should have played our role more responsibly.
But you
And
were
we have
waiting-
not.
But you were waiting for some sort of,
No, here I don't know, but I cannot say that there was not some mysterious development. Some mysterious development has helped treasury
Are
benches.
you hoping, that's what I'm saying, are you hoping for a mysterious sort of.
We don't hope,
Okay.
but that mysterious hand helped the treasury benches against the interest of Pakistan.
No, but as far as Mia Saab is concerned, there are always rumors about the fact that he's coming, and then, he doesn't come. There are even presently.
So these are rumors. If he says that I am coming on, say, 23rd of March, he will definitely come, inshallah.
So, okay. But it's not pursuant to any sign or any signal then. Ji, Humayun Saab. According to the Prime Minister, he's saying that as far as the situation is concerned, of course, as far as pursuant to this passing of the legislation, price hike and all of those things, there are at this time, even currently, a lot of speculation about the fact that the fuel prices are likely to increase further, all of those things. But the Prime Minister said that economy is for the first time on the right track, which is echoed by the Finance Minister also. Do you think that things and he's also said that he's hoping for things to change considerably in the next couple of months. Do you think that will happen?
Inshallah, it will happen. The thing is that, you see, if you're in the right direction, it might take a little while, but it's going. And it's not only what Prime Minister is saying, it's also the Bloomberg and the World Bank has said the same thing, that Pakistan is finally going towards the right direction. Now, if you see the graphs of exports and imports, right, till the COVID hit Pakistan and the world, everything was going in the very right direction, but unfortunately the 2020 was the worst year for everyone. Worst year for all the businesses, myself, my clinic, everything suffered during that 1 year. So, in spite of that, we managed a significant amount of tax collection. We managed a significant improvement in the exports. We managed a significant foreign revenue coming into the Pakistan. Everything was in the right direction. Now, yes, the imports went up. Now, of that imports, a biggest chunk was because of the vaccine and the kits, which was for the health of you and me. That was the biggest, $200 billion or $200 million.
But Humayun Sahab, as far
Right?
as, the normal, you are saying that businesses suffered. Today, the Prime Minister appealed to the private sector, asking them to increase prices, increase the salaries of, their own employees. And that's also historic in the sense that, a Prime Minister appealing to. Overall, like I said, price increase is an issue, inflation is an issue, which, of course, your party has attributed to the global increase in prices. We are also seeing shortages, shortage. We were just discussing with Siddiqul Farooq Sahab also in the country, pursuant to the agriculture sector also. Do you, in this kind of scenario, still hope that things will significantly?
Well, yes, it will go. You see, let me tell you one thing. You see, the oil has gone to the highest $90 a barrel, right? In US, the inflation has gone up to 7%. Normally, it is around 1%, 2%. It's not more than that. So, see how many folds inflation has gone up in the countries like US. So, that's a global phenomena which has happened. And at the same time, yes, most of the Pakistanis do not pay. You see, Pakistan, 80% economy is black money. It is not documented. That means most of us do not pay our due share of taxes, and that is why these poor people are bearing that cost for us. But before I finish, I would like to put one thing correct, which my colleague Taj Haider, I was there in the Senate from the 10:30 a.m. till the end, and I'll tell you one thing, whatever happened in Senate, there was nothing which was unconstitutional.
Okay, right.
Nothing happened which was unconstitutional.
Yes,
right? And number two,
right.
even if
Right,
we were 20 in number or whatever, when the voting happened, in the second voting, why did they go down to 42 from 43?
Right. Unfortunately, on that note, there's really no time. I can't go to Taj Sahab and ask him to comment. Thank you so much for joining us. Senator Humayun, thank you for being with us. Siddiqul Farooq Sahab, thank you for joining us. Taj Haider Sahab, thank you for making the time. Overall, as far as the situation is concerned, of course, the government is adamant that things will change for the better as far as the economy is concerned, as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, the Finance Minister is concerned. They remain sure that in the next 3-4 months there will be actual, as far as inflation is concerned, price hike is concerned, it will come down, economy is in the right direction, and that people will start to see the effects of the policies. Let's hope that that happens. On that note, thank you so much for joining us today on this.